what we came for, we have achieved. We came to guarantee the security of Hungary's energy supply. And I am pleased to tell you that this is in order. The Russian president assured Prime Minister Viktor Orbán that Russia will fulfill its contractual obligations regarding both natural gas and oil deliveries.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán met with President Vladimir Putin in Moscow on November 28th, just days before Russia begins discussions on a US-backed deal to end the war in Ukraine. Orbán, widely viewed as one of Putin's closest partners in Europe, has repeatedly frustrated his NATO and EU counterparts by weakening unified efforts against Russia. "We are aware of your balanced position on the situation in Ukraine," Putin told Orbán during the meeting, according to Russian state television. Putin expressed gratitude to the Hungarian Prime Minister for suggesting Budapest as a possible host city for a Russia-US summit with President Donald Trump. According to Reuters, Orbán told Putin that Hungary was interested in peace and added, "Our meetings today give me the opportunity to confirm, Mr. President, that Hungary is ready to provide a platform for such negotiations." In a later social media post, Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó said that Hungary achieved its goals in Moscow, securing guaranteed deliveries of Russian oil and gas, as well as confirming that construction of the Paks nuclear power plant would continue.
I respectfully greet you at home. Good afternoon to you. And here in Moscow, good evening, where the Prime Minister's meeting with President Vladimir Putin lasted much longer than originally planned. We have just concluded a 3.5-hour meeting, during which, on the Russian side, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Deputy Prime Minister responsible for energy affairs Alexander Novak, and the President's chief foreign policy advisor Yuri Ushakov were present. There were 4 of us as well, alongside the Prime Minister, my fellow Minister János Lázár and Marcel Biro, the National Security Chief Advisor, made up our delegation. It was a long negotiation, 3.5 hours, and there are 3 things I would like to tell you about it now. First, what we came for, we have achieved. We came to guarantee the security of Hungary's energy supply. And I am pleased to tell you that this is in order. The Russian president assured Prime Minister Viktor Orbán that Russia will fulfill its contractual obligations regarding both natural gas and oil deliveries. The agreed quantities will arrive in Hungary according to the agreed schedule. Both the Friendship oil pipeline and the Turkstream gas pipeline are operating without any issues. So the quantities of oil and natural gas necessary for Hungary's energy security and for protecting the results of the utility cost reduction will arrive in Hungary on time. The Prime Minister reached an agreement with the American President in Washington that Hungary can continue to purchase energy resources from Russia, as this is essential for the security of our energy supply. There we received an exemption from the sanctions. And today we have given meaning to the exemption from sanctions, as it has been proven that the security of both our crude oil and natural gas supply is ensured. This also means that we have been able to continue protecting the results of the utility cost reductions. This means that we have managed to avert the danger that even as soon as Christmas, Hungarian families' energy bills could have tripled compared to previous amounts. An agreement was also reached to significantly accelerate the construction of the Paks nuclear power plant. All technical preparations are proceeding according to the previously agreed schedule, so on February 5th the first concrete will be poured into the ground. So much for energy security. What we came for, we have achieved. The second thing I would like to tell you is that the Prime Minister has once again reaffirmed that Hungary stands on the side of peace. Peace is in Hungary's interest. Hungary has already paid a great deal for a war that we have nothing to do with. That is why we would like this war to end as soon as possible. The Russian president also assured us that if there is a peace summit, it will undoubtedly be held in Budapest. The third thing I would like to say is that I see how many people are confused about this meeting, how many are trying to misunderstand or misinterpret it. To them, I would like to say just one thing. Hungary is a sovereign country. Hungary has a sovereign foreign policy, a foreign policy that is based on national interest, a foreign policy in which decisions are made along the lines of national interest. Within the framework of this sovereign foreign policy, Hungary maintains a cooperation with Russia based on mutual respect. A cooperation that is balanced and a cooperation that forms the basis of Hungary's energy security. Therefore, we are interested in ensuring that this cooperation with Russia continues to be based on mutual respect, remains balanced, and today's meeting has contributed to all of this.
However, German Chancellor Merz wasn't happy with the Hungarian PM's visit to Moscow. Responding to news of Orbán's trip to Russia, Merz said, "He is acting without a European mandate, and he is doing so without consulting us, but that is nothing new." Addressing Russia's full-scale assault on Ukraine, Merz said of Orbán, "He has his own ideas about ending this war. So far, they have not been realized. If someone has a better idea than us, then that is very welcome. Unfortunately, I just doubt that this time will be more successful than last time."
Yes, Mr. Fischer, we have been familiar with Viktor Orbán's position for years. This is also not his first trip to Moscow. He already made a trip to Moscow in July last year, immediately after taking over the presidency of the European Council. That visit back then was not only unsuccessful. Just a few days after that visit, there were some of the heaviest attacks by the Russian army, including against civilian infrastructure and civilian targets in Ukraine. I hope that this time Russia will not respond in the same way. But he is traveling without a European mandate, and he is going without consulting with us. But that's nothing new now. He has his own ideas about how to end this war. So far, they have not materialized. If someone has a better idea than we do, it is more than welcome. I just doubt that this time will be more successful than the last. Unfortunately, I would have wished for something different, but every head of state and government in the European Union has their own responsibility in this regard.
The Hungarian Prime Minister, now meeting Putin for the 14th time, has maintained strong relations with the Kremlin despite Russia's war in Ukraine, a conflict that triggered 19 rounds of EU sanctions and a significant reduction in Europe's dependence on Russian energy. He has also frequently cast doubt on Western military support for Kyiv. Their discussions on November 28th went on for 3.5 hours, much longer than the expected time. A few weeks ago, the Hungarian Prime Minister also met with the U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House, and that visit delivered exactly what he had hoped for in Washington: warm praise and an exemption from sanctions targeting Russian oil, gas, and nuclear supplies. Trump, who has imposed tariffs on many countries over their imports of Russian energy, made an exception for Hungary, acknowledging that the country's geographic position leaves it with little choice but to purchase oil from Russia.
Mr. Orbán has requested an exemption as it relates to oil that is coming from Russia. Is that something that you are prepared to do? And may I ask Mr. Orbán a question in regards to that very issue?
Sure. We're looking at it because it's very difficult for him to get the oil and gas from other areas. As you know, they don't have the advantage of having sea. It's a great country. It's a big country, but they don't have sea. They don't have the ports. And so they have a difficult problem. There's another country that has that same problem, by the way. But when you look at what's happened with Europe, many of those countries, they don't have those problems, and they buy a lot of oil and gas from Russia. And as they know, I'm very disturbed by that because we're helping them and they're going and buying oil and gas from Russia. So that question could be really asked maybe more accurately if you talked about many European countries, not Hungary necessarily, because Hungary is in a different position. But many European countries are buying oil and gas from Russia, and they have been for years. And I say, what's that all about, right? Thank you.
So that will be one of the issues for today, to explain clearly what would be the consequences for the Hungarian people and for the Hungarian economy not to get oil and gas from Russia, because we are supplied by pipelines. Pipeline is not an ideological or political issue, it's a physical reality, because we don't have port, exactly as the President explained to you. So we will negotiate on that point. It's vital for us anyway.